Welcome to Simply Fun's How to Play Ice Tumble, a game where players compete to be the first to successfully place all their ice blocks and then their fox pawn on the sculpture. You can play Ice Tumble with 2 to 4 players ages 7 and up. Ice Tumble is good for developing spatial reasoning skills, as players determine how and where to place their blocks on the sculpture so they will not tumble off. Ice Tumble also helps with fine motor skills, as players using only one hand carefully collect and then place their ice blocks on the sculpture while trying to keep it balanced. Players take turns rolling the die and collecting ice blocks. Then they carefully stack their blocks on the sculpture without any falling off. The first player to successfully place all their ice blocks and their fox pawn on the sculpture wins the game. Phase 1. Collecting ice blocks. Place the game mat in the center of the play area. Then place all the ice blocks in a pile on the mat. Each player chooses a fox pawn and places it in front of them. The ice blocks come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Some will be easier or more difficult to balance. The starting player rolls the die and takes one of the following actions. If your roll reveals one block, remove one ice block from the pile and place it in front of you. If your roll reveals 2 blocks, remove 2 ice blocks, one at a time, and place them in front of you. If your roll reveals the hands icon, take 1 ice block from another player who has blocks. If no other player has blocks, then nothing happens. You may only use one hand and may touch only the block that you are removing. When taking a block, no other blocks in the pile can move. If any other block moves even slightly, take 1 additional block as a penalty. After you've taken your action on the die, play continues clockwise until all the blocks are cleared. When the last block is removed from the middle, Phase 1 is completed. Now that the game mat is cleared, Phase 2 begins on the next player's turn. Phase 2. Building a sculpture. Before building begins, players choose one of the 2 platforms and place it in the middle of the mat. The larger platform will make for an easier game, and the smaller platform will make for a harder one. The next player rolls the die and takes one of the following actions. If your roll reveals 1 block, place one of your blocks onto the sculpture. If your roll reveals 2 blocks, place 2 of your ice blocks onto the sculpture one at a time. If your roll reveals the hands icon, give any one of your ice blocks to another player of your choice. You may only use one hand and may touch only the block that you are stacking. Blocks should be stacked one at a time. The ice blocks need to be stacked onto the platform or the sculpture so that no blocks touch the game mat. If any part of the sculpture tumbles when you're stacking your ice blocks, place all fallen blocks back into the box. If you are still holding a block, then it also goes back into the box. Then, as a penalty, take any 2 blocks from the box. Ice blocks that are still part of the sculpture's structure remain in play. This concludes your turn, and play progresses clockwise to the next player. Once a player has successfully placed all their ice blocks, on the same turn they then place their fox pawn on the sculpture to win the game. If any blocks tumble when the fox is placed, move all fallen blocks back into the box. Then, as a penalty, take any 2 blocks from the box and place them in front of you. Play continues clockwise to the next player. The first player to successfully place all their ice blocks and stack their fox pawn on the sculpture without it tumbling is the winner. The ice blocks can be slippery, so be careful or they could all come tumbling down in Ice Tumble.